I have seen it all when it comes to moving and relocating, from overlooked costs to how to adapt to the desert climate. And I'm here to let you in on a few things that you need to know and might not even know to ask about. And if you've made a move and learned something that others should know, post that down in the comments below. I'm Shawn Shackelton, your resource for all things real estate in Scottsdale and Phoenix. One of the first things you have to understand is Scottsdale's climate. See, when people first visit Scottsdale and usually fall in love, it's during what we call our season. This is our winter and spring, when our weather is beautiful. People are walking around in shorts and a t-shirt when it's 50 degrees outside, thinking to themselves, this is awesome. This is also one of the ways you can tell whether someone's a local or not, because at 50 degrees, locals are walking around in puffy jackets and cashmere sweaters. But we are still loving the sunshine and don't mind the crisp air. Something that does catch people off guard often is just how cold our winters can get. Now, it is not the frigid temperatures that you see in the East Coast and the Midwest, and our massive cold fronts usually only last about a week or two. But during that time, we can see highs in the 50s and lows below freezing, which most people look around and they think, yeah, but it's the desert. It doesn't freeze in the desert, but it does every so often. On the flip side, what many people don't realize if they've never experienced it is just how hot our summers actually feel. Yes, they hear about the temperatures, but they don't understand what 110 degrees plus really feels like day in and day out. And this is what you need to know. During the summer, if your skin sees any sun at all, I mean walking from your car to a building, walking to get your mail, whatever it is, when your skin sees sun for any length of time, you are going to get tan lines. That means you will have tan lines on your feet, on your arms, on your fingers sometimes for rings. It doesn't matter. If you are walking from the sun to the shade, you will get crazy weird tan lines. Now, I know what most everyone will be thinking. Well, just wear sunscreen. And you're right, everyone needs to wear sunscreen. But even with sunscreen, it is still going to happen. And here's my tip about sunscreen. Don't think that it's only for the summer, because our winters and our springs and even our falls are sunny. So wear your sunscreen year round here. And when you're outside, just do your best to stand in the shade, at least in the summertime, because I know what the sun feels like in the winter. It feels so good and so warm on your skin that I really like standing in the sun a little bit too. I'm just a little careful and I don't do it all the time. But this is another way to tell if you're a local or not. Because if you're a local and you're standing outside in the summer and you see a sliver of shade anywhere, you will gravitate towards that shade. And it doesn't matter if there's one person, two people, 5 people. Everyone knows to try to share that shade because it makes such a difference. You also need to drink a lot of water. This too is really true all year long because of how dry our climate is. And if you don't drink enough water throughout the day, don't be surprised if by the end of the day you think to yourself, I don't feel that great. And it's likely because you've just gotten a little dehydrated. And don't be surprised if you go through a lot of lotion and a lot of chapstick. With our dry weather comes dry skin and chapped lips. I truly notice how I have to change the amount of lotion that I use if I'm in a different climate. And if I use the same amount of lotion that I normally use at home, when I'm done, I think to myself, feel a little slippery. So as things get hot, knowing how to cool things off faster or just keeping things cooler in general is something that you really need to get good at. When you talk about your car, if you do not have one of those sunshades for your front window, it is just a matter of time, because they really do cut down on the amount of sun that gets in your car when it's parked and will keep your car cooler. It might not feel like it at first, but it is pretty drastic. Also, if you have a car and you do not have tinted windows, this is something that I would look into getting pretty quickly. Our sun is really intense, even in the wintertime, and having tinted windows can really cut down on the overall heat and glare from the sun. And if you have small kids, there are ice packs made for car seats, because when you take small kids out of their car seats in the summertime, you have to be really careful with those metal buckles. They can get so hot, it will burn their sensitive skin. And here's my tip with these. When you take your kids out, you'll put all those buckles on the middle of the car seat, then lay that ice pack over the top. I've seen some people, they forget to put those buckles in. They put that ice pack on the car seat, but one of those buckles is still out, and that buckle gets really, really hot. This is something important to know if you have kids, and why would you know that if you don't live here? Now, when it comes to the heat and your outdoor plants or landscaping, most people think, well, when it gets really hot, I just have to water them more. But here's the truth. For most of our plants, they are indigenous to this area, and believe it or not, they don't require that much water, and they can often sustain the heat. So if you plan on doing some landscaping when you move into your new home, just make sure that the plants that you're planting have some drought tolerance and are indigenous to the area, because they will usually be able to withstand getting less water and the overall heat in the desert. Now, the issue with water here in Scottsdale is no secret, and clients ask me about it just about every day. The great news is that Scottsdale does an amazing job at water conservation and actually replenishing our water tables. And the city of Scottsdale has actually been redoing any of the public land parks to do more xeriscaping that is going to require less water overall so that everybody is doing their part. And as you drive around, you'll notice that many homeowners are doing the exact same thing. This is why so often nowadays you'll find artificial turf in backyards so that you still get the green without having to use the water. Now, when it comes to the overall cost of living in Scottsdale, you have to know that it is not the least expensive place to live in the Phoenix area. In fact, the median sales price for a home in Scottsdale as of February 1st was a little over $1 million. If you look at what the average is, that's a little over 1.1 million. And that's because we have had over 20 homes sell for over $4 million since the beginning of 2024, with the highest price home selling over $10 million. This is why it's a little better to look at what the median sales price is. Housing in Scottsdale as a whole is 42% higher than the national average. Now, when you look at the other expense categories, groceries are 5% higher than the national average. However, utilities and transportation are lower than the national average. Some of the other expenses that you also have to factor into your overall expenses are things like HOA fees and pool maintenance if you have a pool, landscaping, and the fact that your utility bill is going to be higher in the summertime than the wintertime. It will be that way unless you sign up to have your bill averaged over the year. Now, if you don't do this, make sure you check out APS's different plans because you can really save during the peak hours based on the different plans that they have. This really helps you in the summertime when your air conditioning is running 24 hours a day, that you have peak time and off-peak time, and the prices are different. So make sure you check into that. Now, something you have to know when you talk about the overall transportation and getting around in Scottsdale is that you really have to have a car. We don't really have any walkable areas. Now, South Scottsdale, there might be a couple areas that you could consider walkable, but when you really talk about those walkable cities, that is not Scottsdale. So you just have to know that you have to add that into your overall cost when you're looking to move to Scottsdale. Now, once you get here, one of the things you have to make sure to do is get involved in the things that you love. There are hiking clubs and biking events, museums and art galleries, wine clubs and golf clubs, as well as tennis and pickleball. The other things that are great to do are just get in the car and start driving. People do not realize how diverse the landscape is in the overall state of Arizona. People also don't realize that in 2 hours, they can be in Flagstaff and it's 7,000 feet. And during the summertime, that is a huge temperature difference. Or that you can get to about 3 different lakes within about 20 to 30 minutes. And on these lakes, you can actually go boating. We have so much to offer here in Scottsdale, so don't forget to explore. Something that I have seen when helping people move here is that maybe they want to build. Well, we have some specific zoning requirements based on where you would be building in Scottsdale. Now, when I'm talking about building, this means going and finding a lot that you love, as well as going and finding an architect and a builder and absolutely designing something from scratch. I'm not talking about new construction with a builder like a Toll Brothers or anything like that. When you get into the North Scottsdale area, we have the environmentally sensitive land overlay, which is a set of zoning regulations that guides the development throughout 134 miles of the desert and mountain areas. This requires that a percentage of each property be permanently preserved to a natural area open space, or NAOS, and that specific environmental features, including vegetation, washes, mountain ridges, and peaks, be protected from inappropriate development. This requirement ensures that there's open space between properties and along roadways. This also helps protect wildlife corridors and it protects natural vegetation. Now, if you're looking to build in Scottsdale, make sure that you're talking with an agent that has experience with this so that you buy a lot that will allow you to build what you want. This is important when you're looking for homes too. Make sure the agent knows about the area. Then when you do find the right home, make sure you're getting all of the appropriate inspections. Sometimes a general inspection is not enough. And if the agent really knows the area, they will know about the additional inspections that will be very beneficial to you. One important inspection right now is a roof inspection. I always send my roofer over to any house. I don't care if they've told me that they've just replaced the roof. The roof needs to be looked at. There are just things that an agent that works in the area knows about that will help you and protect you. Now, if you'd like to learn about the top 5 neighborhoods in the Scottsdale area, make sure you take a look at this video. As always, I thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.